Why is this so hard for me today to get started? It is 11:51. That is 8 in numerology. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 5 is 8. 8 is life. And where I was so energized all day, now that we're going into the next day almost, I'm losing my energy. I even told my best friend, if y'all noticed, I talked about doing my best friend from, I want to say when we were under the double digits, like 9, maybe 10 years old. My best friend from First Street, Northwest, First and Bryant. I did her birth chart yesterday, and I've had problems with a lot of people I've called my friends or close friends or best friends, but I've never had a problem with this one. And I realized that it was because we have a lot of the same placements, and we're going to talk about that at the end of this episode. And one of our main places we had was the Capricorn moon. The Capricorn moon is coming, y'all. It is the full Capricorn lunar eclipse moon coming in 3 days. And when it's 3 days out, you feel it extra. So welcome to the midweek check-in. It is still Wednesday for another 8 minutes on the East Coast. I'm going to light up my full moon incense today because we are 3 days out of the full moon, and I'm using incense cones today. They actually look like the new moon. They're dark, but the full moon is really illuminating, y'all. Where's my lighter? Let me get a sip of water. In DC, it's humid. It feels like it's 90 in the middle of the night. Because my window air unit, give me a second, y'all. I'm looking for my lighter. My window air unit is right behind me, so I can't turn it on or you won't be able to hear me. So no music today because I didn't charge my computer in time, and I'm not by plugs. So we going off the natural face in the middle of the night, but we're gonna make it all right. All right. I don't even have a title for this one today, y'all. I just been rushing. It's Cancer season. I'm trying to nurture and heal and take care of myself, take care of my loved ones. And all today, I've been really doing the mommy thing. My oldest was out. My son is back with his dad for another week and a half. And I was with the baby, the Cancer, who's having a birthday. Her 8th birthday is in 12 days now. Going in 11 because her birthday is on the 13th. She was born on Friday 13th, 2012. So anyway. Speaking of water energy, we're still in Cancer season. This is the, I wouldn't say all mid of Cancer season yet, but we're close to it. Cancer is the opposition sign of Capricorn, which is why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Cancer is a water sign, like Scorpio, which is another reason why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. So this is a shout out to all you sensitive people, intuitive people, dreamy people like Pisces, Cancers, and Scorpios. This is shout out to the earth signs who are grounded but feeling it as well too. All right, shout out to the people who are just going through it right now. I'm going to show y'all, I blanked out his name, but I'm going to show y'all a little message that one of my former students in my last year of teaching sent me today on Facebook. That really set in with how I'm feeling right now. Not only am I tired, but I'm just kind of all over the place. This is for people with problems right now. And I'm not just talking about general problems. I'm talking about heavy problems. I'm talking about like anxiety, depression. I'm talking about mental health, physical health. I'm talking about drug abuse and being disconnected with reality. And even though I wouldn't say I'm disconnected with reality, reality is sure enough pulling at our cords right now, so to speak. And it's just time to get grounded. So let's go. Okay, y'all. So we're going to protect our energy, and I'm going to talk about that, especially in what I was just doing in between the intro and getting this started. Protecting your energy is so important. I talked about last episode how to ground yourself and protect your energy, and several things you can do. Meditation is one, eating healthy, sitting in the sun, writing, doing something creative, resting, which I'm gonna start doing a lot of too. Talking again about my best friend. Me and her have these Capricorn moons. I told her because she wanted to do my daughter's nails tomorrow because her birthday's coming up, my Cancer daughter, and I just texted her a few minutes ago and said, you know what, we both are Capricorn moons, we both have probably been working ourselves to death. Let's wait till next week because this is about to be a heavy weekend. And she agreed. And I just want to shout out anybody who has a Cancer or Capricorn, anything on their birth charts, to get a lot of rest this weekend, okay? Especially now that we are in Neptune retrograde. So Neptune retrograde started last week. I've already talked about that. I'm definitely going to dig into Neptune and all its generations and explain what a generation is at the end of this episode today. I'm just going to start with 2 generations, mine and the one after mine. I'll let you know more about that later, but especially Pisces and Virgos as well, sun, moon, and rising. The 6th and 12th house people and stelliums. We talked about 12th house heavy last week. Got somebody that I did a birth chart for all upset. I really apologize because I was learning about the 12th house and it freaked me out. But I did offer in my video and to her ways to rise above the negativity of the 12th house. So when we get deeper in the houses, we'll go back to the 12th house and talk more positive about it. All right. But especially Cancers, Capricorns, Pisces, Virgos, you all need to get good rest this week. Because the Neptune energy alone, and along with Uranus energy, but we're speaking on Neptune, but Uranus and Neptune, I said this before, are kind of wacky, wonky world planets. And their energy, whether it's in direct or retrograde, is like, it can take you on a whirlwind, and it can be very stressful, especially to your health, your mental health, and your physical health. Even, for example, a vegan can be overwhelmed right now with trying to keep up their vegan, what do you call it? Vegan, not appetite, but you know what I'm saying? Their vegan, let me not get too heavy into it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, don't overdo things this week, especially this weekend. Especially if you know your triggers, protect your energy. It's helpful to be on lockdown right now, actually, because it's easy to avoid conflicts of energies at this time. Especially yesterday on the 30th, now 2 days ago, because happy July the 2nd, that is 12:01 Eastern Standard Time. But yesterday on the 30th, a lot went on, even on the 29th, starting with the 29th. Well, let me stick to what I have here so I don't lose my train of thought. Yesterday on the 30th, there was another Pluto and Jupiter conjunction. Pluto and Jupiter are both in the sign of Capricorn. Pluto and Jupiter are both in retrograde. And they're giving majorly slow energy. But yesterday, it sent a jolt of energy to the rest of the universe by conjuncting. Conjunction means it's an astrology aspect, and I'm gonna go over aspects one of these days too. But it's an astrology aspect. A conjunction means that the planets are so close that they're blending their energies, or one might be a blind spot for the other. So it could be positive and negative. All right. So they conjuncted each other, and they've been conjuncting each other a lot, and they're still going to conjunct each other a lot. And it's a lot to talk about with this conjunction because it gave a jolt of energy to the rest of the universe yesterday, and it's going to be giving this energy for the next 10 days because they both are moving so slow in retrograde. Jupiter and Pluto are. Pluto is one of the slowest. It is the slowest planet moving in the solar system. So Jupiter's sending expansive, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, luck, and abundance. It's in a surge of expansive energy to the universe for the transforming energy of Pluto to kind of regenerate or give new energies on to the universe, above so below. So again, like I said, this will last for 10 days, and we will be feeling it till mid next week, let's say, on top of the other things coming. That was the other thing. So the 29th was when Mars went into Aries from Pisces. Mars moved into Aries from Pisces, and Aries is its home, and Pisces is a slow moving, it's the ruler of Neptune. I'm sorry, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, Mars is the ruler of Aries. So whenever a sign is in its home, Pisces is at home with Neptune right now. Mars is in retrograde, and Mars is direct, but it's in Aries. It will be retrograding at the end of the summer, actually. And I have to talk about that as well, just briefly, because we're going to go month by month, week by week. But, and Saturn just returned to its home in Capricorn as well, and that's a really big deal all over the world. I also want to point out that these things will pass. Like I told my former students tonight, everybody's feeling these feels. This will pass, as it has before when these planets had transitions with each other in the past. I don't know if I said this before, but the last time Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter conjuncted like the way they are all this year was when the American Revolution happened, the end of slavery happened, and some other big war too. So these are big transformative things going on all over the earth, not just here in the United States, not just in Washington, D.C., not just in your house, not just in your head, everywhere. Don't feel alone. You are not alone, like MJ said. All right. Rest in peace to MJ, too. Last Monday, I believe, the 25th, was when he passed 11 years ago. Just had to throw that in. He was a Virgo, too. All right, so Pluto and Jupiter conjuncting will be tied into 3 squares. Now, squares is another aspect in astrology that is conflicting, but can be productive if it is used correctly. So this Pluto and Jupiter conjunction will square Mars and Aries 3 times. But before it does that, later on in this year, it just squared 3 times the Sun in Cancer. The Sun in Cancer made, this happened on the 29th. It made 3 squares based on the lunar eclipse that happened last week. It's a whole lot, y'all, so I'm trying to speak slowly and carefully so that I don't say anything wrong, because I replayed some of my videos and I have said some things wrong, incorrectly. So the Sun in Cancer on the 29th of June, 3 days ago, made a square based on its lunar eclipse that came on June the 21st. And the eclipse season for that is ending on July the 4th this week with the Cancer lunar eclipse. But it made a square with Mars in Aries and Venus going direct in Gemini. And this is kind of like manifestation energy, especially around full moon season. Full moon times, when full moons happen once a month. I know I put water in a clear jar, put it out so that the moon will shine on it to give my water like a charge, right? Or my crystals that I have too. So I also, on the new moon, 2 weeks after the full moon, I write out my intentions, which I showed y'all last week, right? And those are manifestation periods, the full moon and the new moon. This is bringing a lot of changes to our universe. And like I always say, above, so below. This is going to be like a rebirth with this eclipse ending on this weekend with the Cancer and Capricorn oppositions. Cancer eclipse and solar eclipse was on June the 21st. It started, I want to say, back in 2018 when we kept having all these eclipses that had to deal with these two moons, or the sun, and the sun in Capricorn way back. I think in 2019 we had an eclipse with the sun in Capricorn. Or actually it was the beginning of this year, I'm sorry. In January with the sun in Capricorn eclipse. This is the final ending. So we know that beginnings come from ending something. New eras, new adventures, new energies. So this is going to be like a rebirth coming in. It will feel like a phoenix rising, which is Scorpio's highest level. And there's, like I said, new energy, new purpose headed for us all. So that's the good side. This is really a good time to take care of yourself, though, like I said, because there's so many energies coming in, and a lot of us are not aware of them. So it's just really important to be grounded and do the things I said about be grounded and rest. This brings on irritability. I feel a little irritable now. I really want to give y'all this information, but I'm tired of sitting in this hard chair. This is not going to be long today, y'all. It'll bring on irritability. It'll kind of make you stuck. You'll be overly emotional. Cancers. Especially with the past eclipse coming into the new eclipse this weekend. In Cancer season, being a water sign, like water does, things are meant to flow. So these energies are meant to flow, and while they flow through us like water does, it's supposed to cleanse us as well, right? So, and I'm already on the third page. I think I have like 6 pages tonight. And this 4th page is a half page. Mars is water energy. I'm sorry, Mars with the water energy. So Mars is fire energy, being in Aries. Aries is a fire sign. Mars is coming out of that water energy, and the fiery energy is coming in with this water energy from the sun and Mercury. Mercury is in retrograde in Cancer. We need to really get rested so we can release some of these energies, because they're not all positive. But the Mars in Aries energy, because it's fiery, it will bring motivation and drive, which is good, but it will bring aggression and irritability. So we're not talking about Libra right now, but like a Libra balance these things out. Saturn is also back in Capricorn, grounding us, slowing things down, restructuring things, being a little strict, bringing back some old stuff that happened in the past. I sat and watched my time passage app, because Saturn doesn't move that fast, but it doesn't move that slow. But I just watched it. When things are in retrograde, that means they're going backwards. So the time passage app that I have, and I will give y'all a clip on it right now. It's so hot, y'all. I have like 10 frozen waters in the freezer right. All right, so if y'all noticed, I don't know if you got to read that paragraph really quick, but at the top right-hand corner of what I showed you on my app, it showed Capricorn being at 29 degrees at 59 minutes, which means it just left Aquarius like a few hours ago, if that. But anyway, Aquarius is the future, it's the innovative stuff, it's the new stuff, but clearly we weren't ready because it's going back into Capricorn. When it crossed into Capricorn, or not yet, when it was in Aries still at 0 degrees, while it was counting down the minutes, because I looked at it earlier today, it was at 2 minutes, like midday today. So it was still in Aquarius until it went into Capricorn, I want to say, at 10 o'clock. 12:12. I'll show you this. All right, so it went into Capricorn at 12 o'clock, and I'm sorry, what did I say? I'm lost, y'all, because I was looking at my numbers, my numerology. It's 12:12 on the clock. But when it went into Capricorn today, I'd say it was about 10 p.m., right before July the 2nd. So it was earlier for the West Coast people. But long story short, when it was in Aquarius still at 0 degrees, it was meeting up with Mars that went into Aries 2 days ago, because it was in 0 degrees going through those minutes, I want to say, since the 29th. So on the 29th, it made a square, another conflict, a air sign with the fire sign. Actually, I'm sorry, not a square. It made a sextile. I have to look at my notes. Anyway, they were both at 0 degrees, and it felt like a jolt of energy. A sextile is good, so I really think it was a sextile. Sextile is when they come together, support each other, because air signs are compatible with fire signs. We're talking about Capricorn and Aquarius, Mars and Aries. Did anyone feel a jolt of energy on the 29th? I want to say I definitely did. I remember 2 days ago, even into the 30th, I felt like I had to write down my idea. I did get that feeling out of nowhere. I was just thinking about the birth charts I was doing, and I actually wrote a show, or an outline of one, in 5 pages really quick. Just, like, it was in there, and I had to hurry and put it down, and I've got a 5-page outline for a show that I want to do. I'm not gonna tell y'all about it, don't want nobody to steal it, but I feel like it's gonna be good, and I'm gonna speak it into existence. It's gonna be good, and I can't wait for y'all to see it. All right, so if you did get any ideas or any jolts of energy in the last 2 days, let me know in the comments. That would be cool. I did talk about the aspects, y'all. Let me wrap this on back. All right, so a new place you want to go in life. As far as business, that's what I'm going with, because I was just talking about my business venture. That's what Aquarius brings in. So Saturn, and it's Mercury retrograde, y'all, so I'm still kind of lost too. Saturn was in Aquarius. The Aquarius energies of the new ideas, the new places you want to go, the new businesses are still in the near future, but we're bringing it back because there's some things that we have to handle, right? So the Aquarius energy will be back at the end of this year. The first week of December is when Saturn finally goes back into Aquarius for good, and well, not for good, but for the time being. And it'll really take off. It'll really jump off of us in the 2021, in the new year. The Mars energy grabbed hold of that squaring energy that did happen, so it was a square, from Saturn and Aquarius, because squares are still they're conflicting, but they still kind of give you that push. So that was a square. They give you that push to be productive, okay, because they are conflicting. It's like the air sign is saying, you know what, I have these great ideas, and the Mars saying, the Aries energy is saying, do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of aggressive, but it's motivating. And Mars is going to be like this for the rest of the year too. So let's talk about that in a second too. But Saturn and Aquarius, impressed upon Mars, will give us a new sense of self-purpose, and a new purpose of our new lives that we're coming into, basically. So back to the Pluto and Jupiter conjunction. The 10-day conjunction between Jupiter and Pluto, starting on June the 29th, made it very clear through Jupiter that we should be working on some changes, right? We should be learning how to expand our life. We should be learning to get ready to receive the abundance and the gifts that Jupiter gives after we make the changes that Pluto wants us to make, okay? We have to kind of dig deep to figure this out. With me, I think, and I'm pretty sure that it's my workplace, which I'm sure it's with many of us, especially these days, and our home, because we've been home so long this year. Pluto is zeroing in on our past life energies now. Past life energies I'm still digging into as well. I'm digging into deities and all kinds of stuff, ancestral work. But for me, this means like our soul stories, our experience, especially if you are over 40 and you have transferred from your south node to your north node, meaning your karmic past into your destiny, your future self, right? So a lot of us who have already passed the age of 40 should be going towards the direction that we are going to go towards for the rest of our lives, our natural lives. So even if you can't figure out what you need to work on, in other words, a big story and new era is coming for all of us, worldwide, individually as well. But first, we must check out where we are lacking, where we're going, and where we want to go, where our sense of power is, control, what we're fearing, all these things that Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, brings, because Pluto and Jupiter are conjunct because they both are in the same sign, close to each other, as well as Saturn coming back with them. Pluto energy activates how we are growing and how we are gaining our power, in a sense. This is something also that I was doing with my daughter today. I was watching Shazam from 2019, just last year. Never really paid attention to it. Seen it on HBO a few times. Paid attention to it tonight with her because, she wanted to watch that while I was doing her hair, but it really showed me, even though I'm not really messing with Hollywood right now, it really showed me that there is really important messages, not in conspiracy theories type of way, but important messages for us to follow, that the universe is sending us through pictures and, music, movies, any kind of thing that we see with our eyes, right? So I just felt that because, without telling the whole story, there was a child that was able to be a superhero, save his brothers and sisters, and they all became superheroes, and they all just kind of stepped into their power, their newfound power. Just wanted to throw that in there. Shout out to the creator of Shazam. Right. But Capricorn is a powerful sign. It provides strength and challenges, and it's a hard-working sign at that. It's a lot of Capricorns I know are hard-working people. You know how hard life has been for you. You know what you've been through. You may not be able to articulate it to others. And like I said, I was talking to one of my former students today who really was just hung up on all these energies and feelings and had no idea about anything that I've been talking about. But I just noticed his post out of all the posts that I was scrolling through because he said, I need help with these energies. And here I came in as the astrology superhero and gave him the clarification that he needed. Let me show y'all a clip of that real quick. So you saw how I told him that this is happening all over the world. So those of you watching, pass this on to those who might be feeling the feels. And you yourself know that you're not alone. I cannot stress that enough. Capricorn has to do with the world. Capricorn is the goat. Capricorn is the father. Just like the sun is a masculine energy, Capricorn is a masculine energy, Mars is a masculine energy, Saturn, is a masculine energy, the ruler of these two big planets are given that masculine energy that really needs to be healed. Like I said earlier, and here in Cancer season, the mother sign, the moon sign, the Capricorn moon coming is here to heal some of that masculine energy. Capricorn has to do with world leadership, world shifts, world changes, world energy. And with Saturn returning back into Capricorn tonight, it's going to pretty much take us back to how we felt back in January. Because it was in Aquarius, I want to say, for 4 months, 3 months. It is July. It was in Aquarius since the end of April, I believe. Anyway, it was in Capricorn. January, February, March, and some of April. Then it went into retrograde in April. While it was in Aquarius. I cannot remember the date, y'all, but I know that it was in Capricorn when this pandemic started, right? So a lot of those energies are coming back because Saturn is back in Capricorn, because Saturn is in retrograde, where its superpowers are activated because it's at home. And it is pretty much telling us that we're going to redo the regulations. We're going to re-put out the cautions. What needs to be implemented and decided will happen. And the whole world is about to be pretty much redone. And while that sounds good, it's going to be stressful. This is bringing phase 2 energies of the Coco virus coming back. And I know we've all been warned. I know that even I believe that the warm weather helps keep the virus out your system. And I don't want this to freak y'all out. So please don't get freaked out. Ground yourself, meditate, take this in, process it, release it. When Mars goes in retrograde later in September, which is when I really feel like phase 2 is going to kick in. It goes into retrograde Mars, the planet of action, the aggressive, motivating yet irritating planet. When it goes into retrograde in September to November in Aries, it will make a square aspect to all the planets in Capricorn. Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto. Pluto trying to change you. Saturn trying to restrict you. Jupiter trying to reward you, but it's still going to pull back and make you do what you're supposed to do before you get rewarded. Mars, being its big, bad, masculine, macho self, is saying, nah, I don't want to be restricted. I don't want to change. It's going to be all about me. Forget all y'all macho men. Y'all think y'all the best. I'm the fireball. I'm the best thing next to the sun. Mars is giving off big attitude coming in September. It's kind of like all of us. We're not going to want to be restricted again. We're not going to want to be going through what we went through already the first half of this year. But it is possible that it's going to come back, y'all. And I'm not one to be fearful at all, so don't y'all be fearful. I know it's easier said than done, but this is kind of like when you realize that the illusions Neptune brings, that I'm going to come back to in a few minutes. The illusion that Neptune brings is really real. That astrology is even really real. Before I get into that, Mars kind of like the chill with Pisces, but it really still wanted to get going. It was close enough to its home sign to know that it was going to be able to take off. So Mars retrograde is kind of even worse than Mars being in Pisces, because Mars being in Pisces really slowed it down, chilled it out. Mars being in Aries but still having to be in retrograde is going to be a whole nother beast. And it's going to bring out the beast in some of us. So we're about to be like, not this crap again, basically. You know, I'm getting irritated talking about it, so let's move on. We must be prepared for these regulations coming in the second half of 2020, because they will be intense. There will be a lot of people that are going to not want to deal with this. But It will finally work out by the end of 2020, which is the good news. Y'all may want to check out my homeschool curriculum, by the way. That is something else I'm working on, because I know I already spoke into existence that my children were going to be homeschooled this coming fall. And if you need any homeschool advice, I've gotten it from my own cousin who homeschooled her 4 children from the beginning of school to they're now in college. 2 of them are already out of college. They never went to regular school. So I'm learning from the best. Shout out to Marcy. And I just feel like homeschool is going to be the best way to handle the end of this year, beginning of the school year. So check me out if you need any tips or any, if you want to check out my curriculum. I will be finished with that, I promise, by the end of this month. My part, I'm trying to get other people to, mine is just pretty much history. I'm trying, I'm trying to figure out how to pull in foreign language as well. Making an outline. Anybody want to join, any of my teacher friends watching, any of y'all want to join or interested in helping me build this curriculum for K through 12, let me know. That's my shameless plug. All right, so this year has actually been a gift. You know, it's given us a lot of family time, rest time. Can you imagine all of us being at work and school with these energies that have come through this year? Can y'all picture that? I can't. But one other little thing, the South Node in Sagittarius, I spoke on that at the very beginning of these episodes that I've been doing 3 months ago, almost 4 months ago now. The South Node in Sagittarius is clearing out the old beliefs, the old systems and energies around us now, and things that we have learned from our past. So the Cancer and Capricorn nodes just changed 3 years ago, and the nodes last 18 months. So the Sagittarius and Gemini nodes. The North Node is in Gemini right now, giving us big information, and the South Node in Sagittarius, which is the opposition sign of Gemini, is giving us slow down. Sagittarius is love to travel, but because it's in the South Node, meaning it's in our past, right? Travel is on a halt this year. Most people are not able to travel. You can expect the traveling to not kick back in until probably 2021. I've seen Southwest send me 1 million deals because I used to ride with them so much living on the West Coast. Anyway, expect the holiday season to be different as well too. I know plenty of people are going to be even changing their religious beliefs this year. So just to review, because I am coming to the end of this and I do want to still talk on those 2 Neptune generations and just start that series too. Phase 2 is possibly coming back stronger than before. The Mars in retrograde means we will all really have to cut back and chill out and handle our tempers and handle our business and take care of things, especially our health, mentally and physically. And for those times, those times that, you know, we have neglected ourselves are over pretty much, and we really have to pay attention, especially if we're talking about phase 2 coming in, because we don't want to be around the next round of people to go. I hope that I'm not right, but I'm pretty much intuitive and been on point. Check out my reviews of my birth charts and studying my astrology and stuff. I have pretty much been on point thus far. If I am correct, y'all will be prepared and astrology will be really real to you, and maybe you'll get your birth chart done if you haven't. If I'm wrong, then y'all will be okay, right? But build up your immune systems now. Zinc, iron, vitamin C, water, you know, stay hydrated, tea. I drink a lot of green tea. I put ginger in it and lemon or some kind of citrus in it. Honey. You sit outside and do your vitamin D. Like, that's, you don't need a pill for that. The sun is vitamin D. That'll definitely keep your body warm and, you know, your immune system good. All you need is like 15 minutes of sun a day. magnesium, black seed oil, sea moss, colloidal silver. I'm also about to push some of this stuff too, so y'all stay tuned as well. Make sure your children get it, you get it, your parents get it, your partners get it, your grandparents get it, your cousins, aunts, best friends, everybody. I'm not going to plug anything, but this is my vitamin C. This is my Meridian garlic oil. I put this in my ears earlier because my ears were hurting. I have had bad allergies. I don't have that cocoa virus. Oil of oregano is really strong, but it clears out mucus. You put it in your water. This is called lobelia. I will show this to my cousin Marcy, who I just talked about. She does a lot of, she's teaching me about herbs and oils and stuff. This is for people with asthma. Take those drops instead of the pump. I have black seed oil pills because my kids don't like to do the drops, but I do the drops. This is good for ADHD, and I'm covering up who made this. ADHD, this is good for allergies, this is good for asthma. It's called Pisoglenial. And shout out to Lorenzo of the OP Tribe, my good friend. He put me onto all this stuff. And I was freaking out at the beginning of this, but now I'm fine. I know I'm protected. Keep my stones, keep my energy, ground myself, take my herbs, vitamins, and eat healthy foods. Not trying to be a vegan too hard until this is all over, because being at home is really hard. It makes you want to eat dairy and meat sometimes. It's all a mind thing, but you take one step at a time. Why am I getting emotional? All right, but anyway, like I said, if I'm wrong, then you'll be great. If I'm not wrong, you'll be prepared. You'll remember to reorganize, like we are doing in retrogrades and all these planets in retrogrades. Or you'll be forced to do stuff. Speaking of force, are we not in a mood all by ourselves? Y'all know the rest. But I'm a force when we're together. Did Fabulous do that song yesterday on the versus thing with Kiss, with Jada Kiss? That was my song. Anyway, I want to wrap this up with speaking on us being together and bringing it back to the birth charts that I do and water energy. So this is when I'm talking about Neptune's generations. Thank you for tuning in to the midweek check-in. I know this was all over the place. We will gather it back together the day before my daughter turns 8 on July the 12th. That is 11 more days, y'all. Hang in there with us. We have a 10-day shadow period after that, so definitely by the 20-something of July, this will be a little bit more organized. All right. So, generations. There are 3 generational planets. Those of you who get your birth charts, I have done my 18th birth chart today. Started on it, and it's due tomorrow. And shout out to that Capricorn who I'm doing. But those generations that we speak of, Generation X, which is my generation, the Millennials, and Generation Z, and I just found out that my youngest daughter Zane's generation is called the Alpha something generation. I'll come back to y'all with that. These are planets that we all have the same interpretation with. So most people in my generation, Generation X, are Neptune and Sag. That is people born 1970 through 1984. The people after me, not my daughter, but my goddaughter, the Millennials, my daughter's aunt, all our younger brothers and sisters of Generation X are and Neptune and Sag are Neptune and Capricorn people. So it takes Neptune 13 to 14 years, a total of 164 years to go through all 12 zodiac signs. So it's a pretty slow moving planet, not as slow as Pluto, not as fast as Uranus. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the 3 generational planets. I will definitely get into Uranus and Pluto another day. I will get into Neptune and Pisces, which I have pretty much talked about, but get into that a little bit deeper. Get into the people before me, the 50 and early 60-year-olds, Neptune and Scorpio, and get into my mother's generation, which is Neptune and Libra. Not a lot of Neptune and Virgo people are still living, but your great grandmothers are probably Neptune and Virgo. Okay. So Neptune is the planet that rules Pisces. It brings universal wisdom, and it dissolves patterns that are not serving your highest good. Okay, it brings meaning and purpose for the glamorous things in life, for fame and fantasies. Again, it is a planet of dreams. It is a planet of illusions. It is the planet of deceit and deception as well. It is the planet of spirituality. It is another water sign, so it also can be intuitive as well as a healing sign. Neptune is a lot, as most water sign planets are. Pluto is a lot. That's what rules Scorpio. The moon is a lot. That's what rules Cancer. All right. So Neptune and Sag, let's get into this really quick. It's Generation X into the early millennials, 1970 through 1984. Both planet and signs are spiritual. Neptune in Pisces is a spiritual sign. Sagittarius is also a spiritual sign. So these are two, the planet and the sign are both spiritual by nature and tend to get deeper into spirituality by age of maturity, which is around 35 to 45 years old. You will be very open-minded, or you are very open-minded with religious beliefs, philosophical debates, and this generation will help humanity focus on spiritual goals and expansive knowledge. Sagittariuses are really into higher learning. Most of us who are in this generation will really, geared to going to college, doing our best in school. I know that I went to private school from 1st to 10th grade or 9th grade. I took 1 year off in 8th grade, went to public school. My parents didn't like it, put me back in private school for 9th grade. Then I went to an artistic school, shout out to Duke Ellington School of the Arts, for 10th and 11th grade. My parents were going through their own little thing. In 11th grade, I left and graduated from Wilson, but I never stayed back. I did push through. I did stick to my goals. I did go to college. It took me 5 years, but I got out of there too. And then I became a teacher myself. So notice the pattern in yourself, those who are in Neptune and Sag generation. Global unity. Sagittariuses are also known to like to travel, like I said. So that global unity is really big with this generation as well. And connectiveness and connecting to others around the world and expanding your mind. I've always impressed on my kids to learn a whole bunch of languages. I learned French, Latin, and Spanish. I also, my parents wanted me to experience a lot of traveling in a lot of different places. I've been to Canada when I was 2. I've been to, where do we go? Barbados or Bahamas when we were in senior class. I've been to Paris right before I went to college for my sophomore year. 96 was a wild year. That's for another story, but I went to Paris and didn't really have a good time because it's something that really popped off for me in 96, but I've been to Paris, y'all. I've been to a lot of places that I haven't been able to take my kids to, unfortunately, but other than us moving all the way to the West Coast, my kids have not been out this country like as much as their mother has. So that's something I want to focus on. All right. I don't know why I get so emotional, y'all. I'm trying to hold back these tears. You like to take from old and new narratives, not you, but we, because I'm part of this generation. New narratives and ideas and expand them to higher levels. This is my generation, like I said. Most of us had to go to school. Now we are in debt because of that. Neptune and Capricorn actually doesn't get how we operate, but their take on life is a new level, and we're going to go into them right now. Neptune and Capricorn, 1984 to 1998. Most of these generations start in January and end in like November, December. So we're talking about January 1984 to like November, December 1998. 98, I was in my junior year of college. And this is when, I don't want to say 98, I think like 95, the year I went to college, was when AOL came out. This is millennials going into Generation Z. We got email in this generation. MySpace and Black Planet all started, the chat rooms. And then it as soon as Generation Z started, as soon as like 2000 hit was when social media took off. But Neptune and Capricorn popped all of that off. You are tuning into me now because of what started in Neptune and Capricorn. All right, dating, sex, and lies. Water and earth. This is Neptune being the water planet and Capricorn being the earth. Here we are talking about Capricorn again. They help society see social issues, this generation. Like I said, 96 was monumental for me, good and bad. They help see social issues in, all of us, their peers, adults, all the way down to babies. For example, churches. And I remember even in my own church, churches just starting to disagree with, the gay community, gay marriage, and leaving, forcing people to leave the church because of their choices of who they wanted to love. And that is some of the social issues that really started popping off around this generation. This generation's career goals prefer to do things they enjoy, and they often dream about it. For another example, this generation has the most millionaires, young millionaires, ever known to life, when life started. Nobody, Disney Channel people, Nickelodeon kids. Lil Wayne was a millionaire by like 15 with the Hot Boys. You just have, you remember they even made like a magazine, I can't remember which magazine it was, where they had 30 millionaires under 30 or something like that. This is the generation that really popped that off, but how they got that money is another question. You know what I'm saying? Like, Capricorn is a restrictive, conservative yet liberal, structuring and demanding, powerful sign, and Neptune being that illusional, dreamy, glamour filled, but glamour is not always glitzy. Sometimes we look at things through rose-colored glasses. Some things, in some ways, that people got money back in the 90s, especially. How many of y'all remember those 90s, especially in DC, when DC was the murder capital? In like 91 and 97, I'd say. Maybe not that long, but, and my father was a crooked cop. Check that out when I publish my book, that story. But the 90s was lit, and people were getting money in the 90s. That was when Bill Clinton did that jail bill with good old Biden. And people were getting locked up left and right because of the drugs that the government was putting in the communities. Let's not go too heavy into all that, but that is the generation where all that popped off. Drugs, sex, AIDS came into play, all kinds of government stuff popped off when Neptune was in Capricorn. Remember, Capricorn has to deal with the government. I'm just going to leave it at there. Don't want these to be too long because they're just generations. And like I said, look on your birth chart. More than likely, if I did you and your friend's birth chart and y'all are close in age, you're going to have the same thing on Neptune. Possibly Uranus, because Uranus is a little bit faster than Neptune and Pluto. Uranus, I believe, moves through signs every 5 years, 4 or 5 years. Neptune is every 13 or 14 years, and Pluto. Sorry, y'all. Mercury retrograde is telling me and my phone to shut it down for the evening. Last thing I was saying was Pluto's generations last 14 to 15 years. So thank you for tuning in to my explanation of 2 of Neptune's generations. I will bring back the rest, I promise, the end of this week. By the end of this week, I will do Uranus and Pluto's generations as well, coming up soon. Remember to look on your birth chart. If you and your friend, like I said, are close in age, you more than likely will have the same generation in I'm sorry, goodness gracious, I need to go to bed, yo. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, you will probably have the same. There'll be different degrees, of course. There'll be different degrees, which are also important, and one day I will get into the degrees as well, but your generations are pretty much